Hey guys, Micah from Black Bear Custom Kydex. I have a couple of sheaths to show you that I just finished for this Tops Silent Hero. This thing is a great knife if you're looking for something that's in the 6.5 inch blade length range. This thing is a great option to consider. I would say, dare I say, comparable to the SE6. And there's a few others out there. If you guys are familiar with the CRKT hood work, not a lot of people know about that one, but this kind of reminds me of that one, only I really don't like the hood work, but I love this thing. Anyway, so I have a sheath for a guy named David and a sheath for a guy named John. And so we'll start with John. John's stationed out at Fort Carson in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So we had a nice little talk. So I grew up out there. And he asked if I could build him a sheath in either Coyote or Flat Dark Earth. That would just be a simple sheath with drill holes along the edge that were compatible with a tech lock or molly clips or a variety of other belt clips. He's already got some of those, so I didn't need to attach those. You're probably wondering why some of the spacing looks terrible. Perfectly honest, obviously it doesn't look as nice as having uniform spacing, but the advantage of having this particular setup is that I've actually measured it out, and let me see if I can find my, got like a half of a tech lock that I use to measure out drill holes. Okay, so this thing, so obviously you're going to be able to, with this, wear it horizontal, vertical, or, I did that exactly backwards, vertical, horizontal, or canted, and there are a couple different options for how far you have it canted. So that if you wanted to wear it as a cross draw, you could do that. So he said his intention with this is either to attach some belt clips to it here and there, or just have enough eyelets that he could run some cord through it and lash it to his pack or something like that. So pretty simple sheath. I guess I'll show you real quick since I was just looking for. All right, so you got that option for a cant. You have, I know it's subtly different, but you have that option for a cant. And then down here, this one would be the steepest one, I think, right there. Other than that, you're going to be able to find some standard 1.5 and some 3/4 inch spacings throughout this. So you will be able to use this with mollies, with obviously with the Tech Lock Combat Loop. Yeah, just a variety of belt clips. So you got that. As for the retention on it, get it good and smooth all the way up to there. Nice click going in. No rattle, no play. Not going to lose your knife. And got a very easy one-handed draw. So there is a little bit of a hump on the spine of the knife right here. It's part of this little thumb ramp they built. And so as you're drawing, it kind of wants to get, I don't want to use the word wedged because it's really not like stuck in there in any way, shape, or form, but it wants to get hung up a little bit in the little peak, this little, triangle above the handle of the knife. So when you draw it, if you draw it part way, it's going to get stuck like that. And I mean, when I say stuck, like it's not really stuck, but you get what I'm saying. So just a forewarning on that. So if you want to get it all the way off, you just need to push a little bit further with your thumb, and it's there. So, all right, that's this one. This one's going to John, Fort Carson, Colorado. All right, this one is going to David. David, I can't remember where you're at, brother. I'm sorry. I completely spaced on where I'm mailing this to. So I'll look that up, obviously, before I make some labels. But anyway, David asked me if I could make him a sheath that has an SE pouch, an Exotac fire rod, a tech lock with multiple position mounting plate, and he wanted it to be a similar setup to the one that I did. I don't remember the guy's name. I think it was Neil. Back in Thanksgiving of last year, a guy ordered a very similar setup for his Silent Hero. It was the very first Silent Hero sheath I had done. It was mandrake on the front, chocolate brown on the back, an SE pouch / tin on the front. It had a little, I put like some kind of plate on the back with space in it so that you could run a leg strap through it, and it was on a dangler. So it had all the same stuff, slightly different color combination, and that's sort of what David was inspired by when he asked for this sheath. So let's talk this thing down. We got a couple cool features on it. Let's start with this pouch. So the pouches have a sort of standard spacing on them, but it's hard to actually read that spacing because they have a tendency to kind of like, you know, fold, collapse, move. There's nothing inside the pouch or built into the back of it that keeps it rigid. So what I do with my pouches, typically, almost all of them that I've done, is you can see this black piece of Kydex right there. I take an 1/8 inch thick piece of Kydex, nice and hefty, really sturdy, and I actually will just kind of trace out the back of the pouch onto that Kydex and cut it out, sand it, smooth it over, basically just do all the finish work. And then I get the drill hole set, and I mount the pouch to that plate, or the plate to the back of the pouch, whatever, because that's going to keep the back of it really rigid. It's going to keep the whole pouch expanded always to its fullest size, which makes it easier to pack and unpack, and it also just looks really good. And then I try to figure out where it's going to actually mount to the sheath. More often than not, I don't use the same drill holes to mount the pouch to the sheath as I do to mount, the pouch to the plate as I do to mount the plate to the sheath itself. So in this instance, the pouch is only mounted to the plate, and the plate is mounted directly to the sheath. So you can see the back of the hardware up here is just kind of floating above the sheath, whereas this spacer denotes one that is connected directly to the plate. So it's a little bit of a strange system maybe, but it works really well, and it creates this really, really solid mounting setup. I think it looks good. It's still relatively low profile, and the other major advantage of doing it this way, in case you guys are wondering, you know, like typically it's not, you don't want a gap like that because it just bulks out your sheath that much more. However, my thought on this is measuring it out, you'd find that that gap is probably less than 1/8 of an inch, or somewhere in the ballpark of 1/8 of an inch, and you're already dealing with like something that's 1 inch plus wide anyway, so it's not like that little bit is going to make or break the sheath for you. But the distinct advantage it gives you is that no matter what or how much or how hard or, you know, whatever material, whatever you pack in this pouch, both because of the plate and also because of the spacer, is never going to affect the actual shape of the sheath. So what I'm talking about is sometimes if you put things on the face of the sheath directly up against it, and you screw it on too tight, or, you know, in the case of a pouch, and then you pack it with, you know, some hard material, super bulky, and it gets compressed just the right way, it can actually start to pinch in the walls of the sheath, and it's going to create a rub spot for your blade. So like somewhere around like here on your blade would probably start to get scratches as you're drawing it in and out. You know, it's possible. The inside of Kydex is smooth, but you do have things happen on the, you know, in the heating process. Sometimes you get tiny spots that are a little bit too hot and they get little pock marks. Those can scratch your blade if your sheath is tight. I don't make tight sheaths. I make sheaths that have space between the blade and the walls of the sheath, so those pock marks don't ever become an issue. But, you know, you do have to deal with things sometimes. You get debris inside your sheath. If you just used your knife, you get it dirty, and then you put it back in without cleaning it, those little bits can get hung up on the inside of your sheath and start to scratch. So that can happen with leather or Kydex, but obviously Kydex being rigid is going to have a higher propensity to that. So, all right, sorry, I think I've beat a dead horse on the pouch, but I really like these pouches. I like doing them. They take a little while to actually configure and get them on there, but once they're there, they are really gratifying. They look good. They function really well. Adds a lot to a sheath. All right, the ferro rod, we got just a standard. This is an Exotech ferro rod. It's my favorite ferro rod on the market. Just really high quality fire starting gear from Exotech. The holder is just a little bit snug, so currently it's not going to need the shot cord. You should just leave it attached anyway, obviously, to keep it out of the way. But obviously you'll use your rod. it'll get smaller. The sheath or the holder for it will become loose, and you will absolutely need that shot cord. And then the last thing to show you, I guess, would be this Tech-Lock mounting plate. So same kind of goes for this. If you're using the top few drill holes or eyelets to mount to, it's going to put your Tech-Lock technically above the mouth of the sheath. Why is that an option? Why is it good? For me, when you're dealing with a knife this size and you're going to wear it vertically on your hip, you really have to consider where the location of the knife is going to be, what the height of the knife is going to be. So let me show you where my belt is. So right now, you can see that's right about where it'll ride on the Tech-Lock. Now, being at that height, I can very comfortably just lift it up, get it fully out of the sheath. It is substantially lower on my person because the Tech-Lock is higher. So if I am going to mount it directly to the side of the sheath and have that sheath be something like up here, you know, a bit higher, then to get this, I mean, to even grab the handle fully, I kind of have to lean away from my knife. So unless I'm going to just do this and kind of like, you know, reposition my hand, there's nothing wrong with that. But obviously, you know, especially in an emergency, if you need your knife really quick, that's not an optimal grip to be using there. So anyway, my point is you have to kind of lean away from it or do some like crazy chicken wing thing and get your elbow way up in the air. It's just not comfortable for me. I've talked to a lot of guys that agree that that is just kind of impractical. So I try to make an option with bigger knives like this, unless it's absolutely requested by the customer that they want it to be whatever, simple sheath, no extra things, just a Tech-Lock slapped on the side of it. And usually I'll give them that spiel and let them know. Just so you know, it's probably going to be uncomfortable to draw, but if that's what you want, that's what you get. So anyway, that's pretty much that. But I really like this plate because, first off, again, it does put the Tech-Lock a little bit farther away from your body. You know, a centimeter maybe. And that's, I understand the objection of that adding a little bit of bulk, but you're dealing with a bulky sheath as it is, so I don't think that's really super, I don't want to call it bulky either. This isn't like, it's not a monstrous thing. This pouch, I think, is a great thing to add to a sheath, but my point is that I don't think it's cumbersome to have that little extra width added to it for the sake of having the convenience of a location where you can comfortably draw. I mean, you never know if you're going to be on the ground. That's going to be hard to maneuver around. Having it up too high on your person, you know, having this like jamming into your ribs, whatever. I just don't like it up that high. So if we take a look real quick, you can see it's mounted onto this plate through these three holes here, which means you can also drop this whole thing down 3/4 of an inch to get it through these 3 holes. And then you could even drop it 1.5 inches down from where it's at currently and have it just be these 2 holes right there. So if you do want to adjust the ride height and have the lateral centering the same, you can do that. You can also move this whole thing over to these sets of holes and have it, you know, off center a little bit further that way. You also have 3 other holes that will result in a canted cross draw like this. And again, you do have a little bit of lateral. Man, I said it again. What in the world is wrong? You have lateral adjustment, just a little bit, and then you also have some vertical adjustment there. So the Tech-Lock obviously would be oriented straight up. I'm just holding it roughly at the angle. And then, in addition to the 6 holes that are on the back of this plate, you have options to match those holes up. Some of those holes will match up with some of the edge eyelets, so you could have a holder, or what am I trying to say? Man, that lateral really screwed me up. Your eyelets on the sides are compatible with some of the holes in the back of this plate. So all you have to do is unscrew the male screws. You can see here at the bottom, maybe, let me get a flashlight in here. Sorry, I know this is really bright. Okay, you can see the female hardware sticking up through there. I have all 6 of those holes have a post screw, a Chicago female end, Chicago screw female end sticking up through there. So you have the ability to move your tech lock to any of the positions that are available with this plate without having to take the plate off and move your hardware around. So that is very convenient. I think it's necessary when you're dealing with something this intricate, and you know, just because when you take something off it might affect any of the other components on the sheath, so I don't like to have to deal with that. So, alright guys, that is everything I have to show you. The draw, very smooth, very easy, great click, no rattle, no play. You hear the pouch rattling around just a little bit, but the knife is in there solid. So, alright guys, if you like these sheaths, if you like this video, I ask you to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, comment down below, let me know what you think of these things. How about we talk about knives in the kind of 6-inch range that compare with the Silent Hero. If you guys have a Silent Hero, weigh in on that. Otherwise, let me know what your favorite knife is that's, let's say, 6 inches to 8 inch. 6-inch to 8-inch blade. I know it's kind of a range, but that'd be in the similar size category. What's your favorite 6-inch to 8-inch blade and why? Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. Stick around for the next one. God bless.